RIMS is global. Discover why 10,000 of your peers in more than 60 countries are part of the world's largest risk management community. Visit rims.org/membership to find the best membership for you and your organization. We hope you are listening to this episode of RIMScast while at RISKWORLD 2026, and we are gently reminding you to download the RIMS Events app to navigate the show successfully. Coming to you from RIMS headquarters in New York, this is RIMScast, the official podcast of the Risk and Insurance Management Society. I am Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS and your proud RIMScast host. This is episode 389. It's our annual Risk Manager of the Year episode, and we are delighted to be joined by this year's honoree, Jeff Bray of Prologis. And if you are listening to this on the release date, May 4th, you might see him on stage at RISKWORLD. But first, let's talk about some virtual workshops. The next RIMS CRMP Fed exam prep course will be held May 13th and 14th. The very popular CBCP and RIMS CRMP exam prep bootcamp will be held May 18th through the 21st, and the next RIMS CRMP exam prep will be held June 9th and 10th. Links to registration are on this episode's notes. And we've got RIMS webinars coming up. On May 14th, our friends at Origami Risk will return with a new session, Future-Proofing Your Risk Program, keeping pace with scale, complexity, and visibility. On May 21st, our friends from GRC return to present the session, Is Your Fire Protection Strategy Outdated? Emerging Risks Are Changing the Rules. And on May 28th, Zurich returns with From Underwriting to Risk Management, What to Expect from the Growing Demand for Data Center Construction. Register for webinars at rims.org/webinars and through the links on this episode's show notes. Folks, RIMS is back on YouTube. Our handle is at RIMS Official Channel. We've got plenty of videos there, including RIMScast, RIMScast Canada video podcasts, and other informative and entertaining content from RIMS. Subscribe to the channel today. Folks, RISKWORLD 2026 is underway right now in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you are here or you are on your way here, be sure to download the RIMS Events app. It is free and publicly available. This will help you set your agenda and provide ample navigation through the Philadelphia Convention Center. RIMS has also released its RISKWORLD playlist available through Apple Music and Spotify. Whether you want to get in the zone before RISKWORLD or relive the energy after it, these official RISKWORLD playlists are available to keep the energy going. Links are on this episode's show notes. We've got some more plugs coming up later. Let's get on with the show. It's one of my favorite episodes of the year. It's our special Risk Manager of the Year edition of RIMScast. This year's honoree is Jeff Bray. He is the Senior Vice President and Head of Global Risk Management at Prologis, a global leader in logistics real estate with 1.3 billion square feet across 20 countries on 4 continents and more than 6,500 customers who are focused on moving goods around the globe. That is a lot of responsibility for one person, but don't worry, he's got a mighty team who shoulder it with him, and we're going to learn all about his work, the leaps and bounds that he's made over the last 20 years, his involvement with the Spencer Educational Foundation, and what it takes to succeed in an increasingly uncertain world. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let's get to it. RIMS 2026 Risk Manager of the Year, Jeff Bray. Welcome to RIMScast. Welcome to the show, RIMS Risk Manager of the Year 2026, Mr. Jeff Bray. Jeff, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Justin.
Yes, it's been great. This last month, we've had a chance to meet a couple of times because there is the profile in RIMS Risk Management magazine. And now you're here. You're on the show. This episode is released on day one of RISKWORLD. So when people are listening to this, they might be seeing you up on stage accepting your award. How does that feel?
I'm looking forward to RISKWORLD first and foremost.
Sure.
And then, the award is a nice little cherry on top, I guess. So.
Excellent. How many RISKWORLDs have you attended?
I'm 20 years into my career, and I've only missed a few. So
Okay. So a veteran RISKWORLD attendee. So for those who have not yet read the profile, you started with AMB Property Corporation in the summer of 2005, just a few weeks before Hurricane Katrina. And that's sort of, from what I could tell, a real focal point of your career. Is that right?
from my risk management career, for sure. And just before that, I was in mainly environmental insurance underwriting, which led me to AMB Property. But you're exactly right. It was trial by fire. I joined in August of 2005, not really knowing anything about risk management, knowing very little about insurance outside of environmental insurance.
Right.
And now Katrina hits. And then for those old enough to remember, Hurricane Rita and then Hurricane Wilma hit as well. It was a really transformational year, 2 years in a row of some pretty serious hurricanes affecting the property insurance market. And at that point in time, it was just, there was lessons learned one after another. And I think in just experiences that unless I was just sort of in the middle of it, learning about, the challenges that we had, it's transformed the way that the insurance and risk management program has been run ever since.
Right. Because AMB was acquired by or merged with Prologis?
That's a few years later. It was a merger of equals following the great financial crisis, and that occurred in June 2011.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so supply chain risk management, transportation, fleet management, property management, all of that falls under your purview. Is that right?
Yeah, just by way of background, Prologis is an owner of logistics real estate. We don't operate any of the buildings themselves. And so from my purview, it's the 1.3 billion square feet of real estate in 20 countries, about 600,000 assets. We have a large development business of a couple $2 billion a year of development activity going on. Also, the renewable energy business is something that isn't new to us, but as far as really elevating it to its own business between rooftop solar, mobility charging, battery storage, that's something that's really come into place in the last 5 years. And then more recently, digital infrastructure. So there's a lot going on.
If Prologis has a warehouse or a new facility in the Fiji Islands, does Jeff Bray go, hey, I'd like to go check out that facility. I'd like to be a boot on the ground in the Fiji Islands. It might take a couple of weeks for me to really get the feel for what's going on there. Do you do that sort of thing?
I used to more frequently, and maybe not the Fiji Islands, but I will say a claim to fame was maybe a month or two in my job. I did figure out a way to find my way to Bermuda, which everyone was impressed with. And then I think seeing properties firsthand was really critical.
Okay.
Warehouses are a little bit different in China than they might be elsewhere, and it just helps you solve problems when they do arise. To the top, when you're problem solving, you can't be asking the basic questions. So,
of course, I was kidding about the Fiji Islands, where I was half kidding. But when you mentioned Bermuda, that is a good point, because Bermuda is the captive capital of the world, right? Or one of the captive capitals of the world.
Yeah. And I don't know why I thought this, but 30, 60 days in, I was like, we have a captive. I don't really know what this is and what it does.
Right.
Like, I need to figure it out. And it just so happened there was a captive owners conference to join. But I got to meet a lot of peers at that time. I think it just accelerated my learning. So,
all right. Let's talk about your work at Prologis and your leadership mentality. The most important thing, and this is something we ask a lot of our guests, especially those who are in senior leadership positions like yourself. How does risk management earn a strategic seat at the table?
By serving the business, really. And I always make it very clear, we are here to serve. We are a customer service organization. That doesn't mean we're always saying yes to everything right off the bat. There's a lot of good discussions that go along, but also over the years, we've just built trust. And we can't afford to just rely upon people needing to come talk to us. We want them to come talk to us. And so I think in the early days, it started by, instead of just always asking for things, I'd figure out what people wanted or needed, help them in achieving that, through a transaction or something. And then that just earned sort of credit over time and has really gone a long ways to building a strong relationship.
What's a group that you built a really strong relationship with? Is it, I'm going to guess, legal, financial, et cetera?
Well, the fun part about it is, I mean, we literally work with every single group in the organization. So I don't want to say, it's everything runs smoothly every day with every group.
Right.
We're at lockstep with legal. We're at lockstep with the finance organization, but also on a transactional basis. It's super important that we're aligned with our business teams.
Yep. And remind the audience how many employees are in the risk group or your risk group at Prologis.
My team is comprised of more like the traditional risk management function is just 7 of us across risk, claims, and resilience. We also have 2 members of our corporate security team.
Okay. Do you feel that 7's a good lucky number for you, or is it the sort of thing where you wish you had 20 people?
Well, you can always add headcount. I feel like we've worked very hard over time to try and scale the business appropriately, grow when needed. I think technology is always something we've leveraged. I think the opportunities today to really expand on the team's capabilities and allow them to focus on the most important and most critical tasks is going to be really interesting and another great opportunity for scaling the business. So I'm happy with 7. I think it's a lot to manage around the world. So I'm really grateful for the team's efforts every day. But I wouldn't want to have a overly burdensome headcount. I think we're agile the way we operate.
Are they also located throughout the world because there's so many different places where Prologis touches?
Risk management is a centralized function at Prologis. And so that does present some challenges around just the ear on the ground everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it allows us to do the scaling that, we really operate things as a global program. We really strive to have global consistency. So with that, I think a centralized program makes sense. And it's been something that from the executive team down, they've decided there's, risk management's one area that we're going to have that's centralized.
Okay. And you're based in San Francisco?
I'm in San Francisco. We've got some folks in San Francisco in the Bay Area. We have a few team members in Denver and a team member in Dallas.
Gotcha. Okay. And so are you the sort of risk leader who never lets a good crisis go to waste? You see the opportunity in every risk?
Well, even every crisis and even every near miss, you have to take advantage of those. And because I pay real close attention, at least the near misses I know about, it's like, that could have been a crisis. That could have been an incident. That could have been an accident. So I think without, beating the drum too much, you have to, sometimes it's a more of a slight reminder to folks that, that these are things, this is why what we do is important. And in other cases, it's all hands on deck and what can we do differently next time?
Do you want to talk about one of those near misses? Do you want to mention one?
Oh, a near miss. I mean, they've happened over the days. I mean, probably the biggest near misses for me are both either maybe a fire in a building or something like that maybe arises from our customer operations and didn't lend itself to much, maybe because sprinklers operate properly. Another big one is I participate on our global safety board. And so anything around maybe a contractor injury or something like that, we pay very close attention to. So those are things that come up not frequently, but enough to be a topic of conversation.
So June is National Safety Month. Do you participate in any National Safety Month campaigns or initiatives? The NSC is the big champion of this.
Our development team is, and we do have a head of safety that's kicking off activities for Safety Month. And every project is going to get involved, and every team member will get involved. And I think that sends a good message throughout the organization. But more importantly, to the contractors that we're working with, who we hire, we make it very clear to them how safety is paramount.
Yeah. I've spoken with a lot of safety professionals through the years, and we have the leader of the ASSP coming on the show soon. And Yeah, safety, everyone says sort of the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with it, where safety shouldn't just be observed this month. It should be observed every month and every day. And I'm sure that there's no other way to really say it any better than that, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, and October's Cybersecurity Month, or the other months,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But it's not like we just wait for the month. And and I think we've come a long ways. I've been a part of this journey where it was probably safety was something we focused on more when something happened.
Right.
And now it becomes ingrained in the way that you operate. And so it's not something that's treated separately per se.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about enterprise risk management, ERM. So you are credited with leading the reestablishment of Prologis' Enterprise Risk Committee, right?
It's been on multiple journeys, multiple chapters over its lifetime. I mean, the key to that is just making sure you identify something that's relevant, particularly for your stakeholders involved. But you're right. We've stood up an enterprise risk committee, 7 to 8 global functional leads, and they are sounding board more around that. And, my team members on this would be like maybe head of internal audit and the head of info security and other team members that we work closely with each other across the risk register. But then we use the enterprise risk committee to really be that sounding board. What are we missing? And we're not generally too focused on the basic blocking and tackling risks. We really want to, what is someone not focused on? What are we not thinking about? Right. That's really the type of discussions we have.
I think we call those the known unknowns or the unknown unknowns, right?
Yeah, they fall into every category.
And was it a heavy lift to reactivate the committee? Because I can see where a company as large as Prologis, it's tough to wrangle people and then to get them to meet, I'm guessing, monthly, quarterly, something like that.
It's the challenge was getting that relevance right.
Yeah.
And that was on me. And that was maybe in the beginning, I kept it very open on just let's brainstorm. And that worked for a meeting or so. But then it got stagnant a little bit. And now we're on the right path. Right. It's operating at the right frequency. It's operating with the right, with a dynamic level of input. But we'll continue evolving it every meeting, every time.
Do you take some of the key takeaways and run it up the chain over there at Prologis?
The chain would be to, following our enterprise risk committee meetings, we do meet annually with audit committee. We have had an annual cadence with the board of directors as well. That's not always the case. There's always something about risk, but it might not always be risk management with the board. And so, I mean, that's it really evolves from that day-to-day risk register, working with the business teams, moving at the enterprise risk committee, and then the audit committee and the board, who are very invested in what we do. Okay.
So how is enterprise risk tied to the business model at Prologis, and how are you driving it?
I think everything we try and do needs to be tied to the business model at the end of the day. I mean, if we want to show our value, if we want to be able to communicate with our team members, we're probably not doing that through total insured values and rate per millions. We tie it to what's relevant to our CFO, what's relevant to the chief legal officer, or the other stakeholders. So with our CFO, it's probably going to be tied to earnings per share. It's going to be our net operating income impacts. And so I'm always looking at what is our business trying to accomplish, and then what does that mean to us, and then how do we support that?
All right.
And that's the only way to operate.
Let's take a quick break. We mentioned there are so many other wonderful RIMS events coming up in 2026. Let's talk about them now. The 2026 Florida RIMS Educational Conference will be held July 28th through August 1st, once again at the lovely Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida. A link to the event is on this episode's show notes. And you can register now for the second annual RIMS Texas Regional Conference, which will be held August 10th through the 12th at the wonderful Grand Hyatt on the San Antonio Riverwalk. Advanced rates available through June 5th. The 11th annual Chicagoland Risk Forum will return to the old post office on Thursday, September 24th, 2026 in Chicago, of course. Visit chicagolandriskforum.org for more information. The RIMS Western Regional Conference will be held October 4th through the 7th in Seattle, Washington. Registration is open and you can also submit a session. Visit rimswesternregional.com and the link on this episode's show notes for more information. And save the dates, October 18th through the 21st. That is when the 50th annual RIMS Canada Conference will be held in Quebec City. Booth sales are already open. The call for educational sessions is now open through May 8th, and early bird registration will open in June. Visit rimscanadaconference.ca for more information, and also remember to check out rims.org/Canada for our spin-off show, RIMScast Canada, hosted by National Conference Committee Chair Aaron Luconi. And check rims.org for an announcement about the RIMS ERM Conference 2026. It will be up soon. We will have more plugs later. And now let's return to our interview with RIMS 2026 Risk Manager of the Year, Jeff Bray. And we are back with Jeff Bray. He's the RIMS Risk Manager of the Year 2026. Jeff, what do you love about RISKWORLD?
What I love about RISKWORLD is just the people, the interactions in the hallways, even though everyone's racing from sort of session to session, meeting to meeting. But there's not a better place to just see. I mean, I've met a lot of people and there's a lot of meaningful relationships in the last 20 years. And there's not a better place to just reconnect. First of all, to get apprised of what sort of is on the, what's coming up in the risk industry. And then, three, just be able to connect with our most important relationships.
So is it safe to assume then that some of the friendships and relationships that you have now can be traced back to attending a RISKWORLD in any city? Not necessarily San Francisco?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the connection points.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where, if we have a group of us that try and get together from around the country, where are we best to do that except when we're all at RISKWORLD? Sure.
Do you bring some of your team with you if you can?
Absolutely. And in fact, they've taken more of a leading role, but both our head of risk and our head of claims have attended the last few years. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you were there, was it 2022 when we were in San Francisco?
I was, yeah.
I was, I had a nice time there down near the wharf. It's a great place.
San Francisco's changed a lot in that period of time again, but it was interesting days for all of us.
So Jeff, I want to get back to picking your brain on your risk philosophies. How can cross-functional risk management be used as an execution advantage?
I can't imagine a problem crossing our desk where risk management can solely by themselves solve it, figure it out, and move on. Generally, we're going to engage legal, we're engaging HR, we're engaging the business teams. Mm-hmm. And that's hugely important to be able to solve problems effectively and in a way that enables the business.
Okay. And at what point or how early on in your time with AMB and then Prologis did you realize that your job was not going to be so much about insurance as it was going to be about operational resilience? Or was that instantaneous and you knew it?
I think the perspective on risk has changed over time. I think our needs have changed over time. So probably in the beginning, there was a little bit of certainly a focus on insurance because we were expanding to new countries. And so standing up a global program, that was one thing. But you mentioned earlier Hurricane Katrina, Rita, and Wilma.
Yeah.
So within the 30, 60, 90 days, I was learning about disaster recovery and disaster response and seeing the teams in action and how that can be a competitive advantage to if we can get our properties up and running quicker than someone else, that's absolutely a competitive advantage to Prologis. And that's been in our DNA ever since.
Okay, excellent. And tell us a little bit about Jeff's dashboard. What's on Jeff's dashboard and is it powered by someone that we might know?
Well, Jeff's dashboard is it's a claims dashboard.
Okay.
That I get to, and they made it really easy for me to click on and link to. And it was, our claims team maybe was getting tired of me asking, what was the claims activity every day?
Right.
And so now they created a dashboard where I get to look at the claims activity every day. And why do I want to look at it? I want to look at it because we retain a bunch of risk ourselves. So
Sure.
a lot of this is Prologis' money. So it's not only myself who's concerned, but maybe the finance team or others. None of us like surprises. And so we manage just like a business. We're going to measure our actual claims against forecast and how we're doing. And the reason for the dashboard was I kept asking questions all the time. And so they made it an easy service.
That was the nice way of the claims team saying, you know what, Jeff, we're tired of this question on a daily basis. Look what we did for you.
Yes, exactly. Like no, it's been phenomenal. So
yeah. Okay.
I'm asking for more dashboards. So
excellent. Okay. And that's one of the ways that innovation has impacted your role. How else has technological innovation impacted Jeff Bray?
I would say one of our biggest pieces is around we onboarded Archipelago. I think we were customer number one. It's a tool that's used to intake schedule statement of value information and other property characteristics and then deliver it to an insurance company in a way that it can be sort of trustworthy and reliable and verifiable. And for a company during that period of time when we onboarded Archipelago, we probably went through $40 to $50 billion of acquisitions.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a game changer in the way that insurance companies couldn't believe it. Like we bring on this portfolio in September and we were ready for our December renewals with the full schedule of values. So there's things like that because, again, I was going back. It was about what questions am I asking myself and then how do we solve for that? And so what I was trying to do is look beyond sort of the CAP modeling results to what other information can I get out of our data from the newness of the assets, different specifications, different protections in place, and really quantify that in a way that was meaningful for the insurers as well.
Yeah. Did you demo a whole bunch of other systems and platforms before you settled on Archipelago?
At that point in time, I'm not sure about today, but there really wasn't anything at the time. I think they were developing something that really hadn't been in place yet.
Yeah.
At least that was my perspective. And we were part of the development team there. You mentioned the claims dashboard that's driven by Origami. They've been a really important partner of ours as well, and working with the Prologis team. And so just for us, we've always been focused on, you talk about scaling the business. Part of that is, it's going to be the combination of data and good data, and then, and leveraging technologies to interpret that data. And so that's been a really important part for us.
We will take one more quick break. Jeff Bray has collaborated with the Spencer Educational Foundation, as we mentioned in this episode. And I want to tell you about the openings and the deadlines for various Spencer Educational Foundation grants. The Risk Manager on Campus application period is now open, and it will close on June 30th. Grant awardees, colleges and universities are typically notified in September. Now let's talk about course development grants. The application deadline for interval number 2 will be on June 15th, 2026, and award notifications will be sent out in late July. General grants will open on May 1st, and the application deadline is July 30th. And internship grant applications open on August 15th and close on October 15th. Links to each of these grants are on this episode's show notes. And of course, you can visit spencered.org for more information. And now let's conclude our interview with RIMS 2026 Risk Manager of the Year, Jeff Bray. Are you finding that the newer or younger generation of risk professionals is really well versed in the technology from the outset, or do they have to learn it just as the same way you learned it?
They're absolutely more well versed in technology.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge, and it's a good challenge, but the challenge is to still don't let technology become more important than like understanding sort of the basics of the business still.
Right.
So you still need to understand what that policy says. You still need to understand what the submission process looks like so that you can drive the right outcomes out of the technology. Right. And so, I mean, I'm now at the point where most of the folks that I work with are younger than me. And and what they're doing with respect to AI right now, what we're doing with dashboards, what we're doing with other insights is super impressive. It's just balancing that with really that you're still learning the fundamentals.
Sure.
And that remains an important part.
And what do you look for in a new hire or someone you want to take under your wing as a risk professional?
I would, first and foremost for me, there's probably a few things that rise to the top. Curiosity. I want someone to ask questions. I think personally, when I look at myself, like I remember asking a lot of questions when I was starting out. Sometimes maybe when I hit stagnant parts of my career, I realized I wasn't no longer asking questions. And so today I ask a lot of questions. So curiosity is key because we have to be investigating what's happening within the company in a good way, in a way that is in a problem-solving way. The other side is just connecting the dots. And that's still something I work on today. I mean, we operate in such a complex world. There's different, there's generally never sort of one thread or one single risk that operates within a silo. Things are connected. And someone that can view and understand how different risks might be interconnected is going to be critical. And the other side is just sort of that being hungry, like learning, striving to do more than the person sort of next to you. I mean, I think that's still more important than ever.
Excellent. Yeah, polycrisis is the big term of the last couple of years. I would have to assume that that's something you would agree with and very relevant to the work that you do at Prologis.
Polycrisis, it's an interesting term, and I firmly believe in it. I do spend a fair amount of time on what do I have control over and what don't I have control over. That doesn't mean like for some large geopolitical risk, doesn't mean that we're not doing something about it. Mm-hmm. But it might take a different approach than let's just say we don't let like the polycrisis drive our strategy on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Because if you do that, then you might spread yourself too thin, right?
You might spread yourself too thin. You might be worrying about things that you have zero control over. So I think awareness is key. Mm-hmm. But then what do you do with that knowledge? And how can we respond as an organization?
So Jeff, I know you a little bit, and I know you have a philosophy on the difference between mitigation and navigation. Fill us in.
Well, it's a little bit about like being on defense versus offense.
Okay.
And that and risk mitigation works sometimes if it's a very simple solution, putting a flood wall in a building to prevent flooding, great mitigation. But most risks are not that simple, and they require navigation. They require keeping options open. They require multiple solutions. And I love the term navigation because it's just, it lends itself to how risks evolve over time and how we're responding to those risks.
How much of a key risk is climate risk for you and for Prologis?
We are an owner of 1.3 billion square feet of real estate.
Sure.
So it's absolutely, and we are with 2 to 3% of the world's GDP flowing through our buildings. Supply chain resilience is key.
Yeah.
So I think we've always focused on climate risk, but I would say from the perspective, how I want to look at it is from more of a resilience perspective.
Right.
That's, what should we be worrying about? How does that affect how we build a building? How does that affect how we are operating an asset? However, climate risk is absolutely front of mind still to this day for many of our investors. Mm-hmm. And so they want to know what we're doing about things. They want to know how we're looking at exposures. And so we've always been on the front end of that discussion with our investors of our funds. And I just think as long as it makes, with most of the decisions we make in this and within our industry, it just needs to make good business sense. Yeah. So as long as we can communicate, like, this is a concern and this is how it translates into either a business impact or how we perform, that remains key. And we are in an environment that is evolving, and we can talk about frequency and severity. So it's something we pay close attention to.
Sure, because you mentioned earlier the installation or need for solar paneling to help get ahead of energy costs and to make Prologis energy efficient. Is that that's one example, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was on the that's from a more of the sustainability goals, not only through Prologis, but it's it's customers and helping them. But with that becomes a story of resilience as well. There's thicker rooftops that we need for those spaces. We talk about the air, air conditioning, not necessarily traditional air conditioning, but the temperature levels within a building, how we might construct the building just to have a better working environment for the employees in there. So that all ties together, which I think all comes back to a more resilient and better performing portfolio.
Sure. Now, I'm guessing that when you do new projects and new structures, earthquake resilience is in mind also, right?
A friend of mine, we have a fair amount of properties on the West Coast,
sure,
in California, and that's always that's a good example of how we've now taken new risks. We've been focused on earthquake risk for the life of the company,
sure,
and doing voluntary retrofitting, seismic upgrades. And that's not because we're going to get reduced insurance premiums. It's because that's making meaningful steps to perhaps reducing the interruptions that may occur for our customers' activities when an earthquake does arise. So it's about taking objectives that we have and aligning them with the business. Not to say, well, we're going to save X in premiums, because we might not.
So you mentioned earlier, Jeff, that what you were looking for in a new person that you wanted to bring aboard if and when that day comes. Are there any words of wisdom that you have for the students out there or any aspiring risk professionals?
Well, I'll first say, and I've been something I am very passionate about is just the development of our next generation of risk professionals. And I'm super impressed. The time I do spend on college campuses, I was just at Old Dominion with risk manager on campus in February. I'm just super impressed with any of the either individuals entering our field and or about to enter our field on just the caliber level of their abilities. And so, number one, I'm excited that we are attracting that level of talent to industry. I think we have an amazing amount of opportunities if we look at it right. I think it's well said that in the past, the industry's shortchanged itself a little bit on being sort of the accidental industry that people fall into. But if you can be at the crossroads of sort of finance, operations, and legal issues or HR, and really risk is at the center of that nowadays. And so I guess I'd say there's an incredible amount of opportunity. I think what risk and insurance and just risk strategies means today is very different than what it meant 5, 10, 15 years ago. And so it's a hidden gem of an industry still today.
Excellent. Now, before I let you go, Jeff, congratulations again on being named RIMS Risk Manager of the Year 2026. Nobody accomplishes anything by themselves. Is there anyone that you want to thank?
There's a whole host of folks, so that might take its own podcast, but I mean, just quickly, this is about the risk management team. This isn't about an individual. So my team that I have across the risk and resilience and claims, they're incredible, and they rise to the challenge every day. We also have a very deep bench of external risk advisors that we work with, from the broker placement to consulting, and our technology partnerships that we work with, and then finally, it's just the relationships that we have built with our insurers, and you couldn't do any of that without all those team members. So very grateful for it all.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure that those folks are listening now and that they're happy that they got their shout out from you. And I want to congratulate you again on being named the RIMS Risk Manager of the Year. It's a big honor.
And I look forward to meeting you and seeing you up on stage and cheering you on. And I hope we can continue to stay in touch, because I think that you've got so much knowledge that you should be sharing with the global risk community here through RIMScast. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, Justin, I appreciate the opportunity and really love what RIMS is doing, love what you're doing on RIMScast, and want to do whatever we can to develop the industry.
Special thanks again to Jeff Bray, the 2026 RIMS Risk Manager of the Year. We are delighted for him and congratulate him once again. Be sure to check out last week's episode featuring RIMS Rising Risk Professional Tyler Vaughn. And in May, we intend to have the Honor Roll awardee, Emily Buckley, back on RIMScast. And be sure to check RM Magazine pretty soon for the RIMS Awards Digital Edition, which also features profiles on the chapters of the year and other special awards. More of those winners will also be featured on RIMScast in 2026. I hope everyone who's listening live while in Philadelphia at RISKWORLD is having a blast. Next week's episode will feature interviews that were recorded live while in Philadelphia. Let's relive the magic. And now I want to speak about a topic near and dear to my heart: sponsorships. You can sponsor a RIMScast episode either on our publicly facing weekly show, that's this show, or with a dedicated episode. RIMScast has produced special episodes for JB Boda, The Hartford, Alliant, Zurich, Highwire, AXA XL, Prudent Insurance Brokers, High Trust, and Aon. Links to sponsored episodes are on our show notes. RIMScast has a global audience comprised of risk and insurance professionals, legal professionals, students, business leaders, C-suite executives, and more. Let's collaborate and help you reach them. Contact pd@rims.org for more information. Let's talk about RIMS membership, folks. Become a RIMS member and get access to the tools, thought leadership, and network you need to succeed. Visit rims.org/membership or email membershipdept@rims.org for more information. And let's also talk about risk knowledge. This is the RIMS searchable content library that provides relevant information for today's risk professionals. Available materials include RIMS executive reports, survey findings, contributed articles, industry research, benchmarking data, and more. For the best reporting on the profession of risk management, check out Risk Management Magazine. This is the Society's official quarterly digital publication. It is written and published by the best minds in risk management. My name is Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS. Please remember to subscribe to RIMScast on your favorite podcasting app. Email us at content@rims.org. Practice good risk management, stay safe, and thank you again for your continued support.